Ladies and gentlemen, if there is one principle that separates the successful from the average, the high achievers from the daydreamers, it is discipline. Discipline is the bridge between thought and accomplishment, between intention and results. It is the ability to do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. Every success story, every breakthrough, every high performer starts with the quiet, daily act of self-discipline. It is not glamorous. It's not always exciting. But it is the foundation for everything worthwhile. People often ask, what's the secret to success? The answer is simple, but not easy. Discipline. Without it, talent is wasted. Potential is unrealized, and dreams are left on the shelf. Discipline allows you to take control of your time, your habits, your health, your money, and your mind. It empowers you to say no to distractions and yes to the actions that move you forward. It is not a trait you're born with. It is a skill you develop. And like any skill, the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. So if you want to change your life, change your habits. And to change your habits, you must start with discipline. Discipline is the foundation upon which all lasting success is built. Without it, every ambition remains a wish, every plan remains a theory, and every dream stays locked in your imagination. Talent alone will not get you there. Intelligence alone is not enough. Even the best strategies will collapse without the structure and consistency that discipline provides. Success demands more than vision. It requires the ability to follow through relentlessly, especially when it's hard, boring, or inconvenient. The truth is, discipline is the engine that drives execution. You can have the best ideas in the world, but unless you act on them with consistency, they hold no value. It's discipline that gets you up early to prepare, to practice, to study, to plan. It's what keeps you focused while others are distracted. It keeps your feet moving forward when the path gets steep. Every high performer in any field has mastered the art of showing up every day and doing the work, whether they feel like it or not. When you look closely at successful individuals, you'll see that their lives are structured. They plan their days, they guard their time, they avoid unnecessary distractions. They are not controlled by their emotions or environment. They are driven by standards, routines, and self-mastery. That's discipline in action. It's not luck or genius. It's structure and effort, repeated daily, that creates unstoppable momentum. Discipline is also what allows you to become dependable, to yourself and to others. When you say you're going to do something and you follow through on it, you begin to trust yourself. You begin to build internal strength, and others begin to trust you too. In the world of success, your word must mean something. Discipline is the force that backs up your commitments with action, turning promises into performance. There's a direct link between discipline and freedom. It may sound contradictory, but the more disciplined you are, the more control you have over your life. Discipline in your finances leads to financial freedom. Discipline in your health leads to energy and longevity. Discipline in your schedule gives you time to focus on what really matters. It's the undisciplined who are slaves to chaos, distractions, and regret. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. And your habits are born out of discipline. Success doesn't come from doing one big thing right once in a while. It comes from doing the small, important things right every single day. That's why discipline is so powerful. It takes the pressure off willpower and motivation and replaces it with steady, predictable progress. In a world filled with distractions, temptations, and instant gratification, discipline becomes your superpower. It allows you to say a no to what's easy and a yes to what's meaningful. It gives you the power to resist comfort and choose growth. While others are chasing shortcuts, the disciplined are quietly building real, lasting results, one intentional action at a time. Discipline doesn't just help you win, it changes who you become. Over time, as you repeatedly act with discipline, you develop character, resilience, and self-respect. You begin to live with purpose and clarity. You stop chasing approval and start living in alignment with your own standards. You recruit. That's when success stops being a goal and becomes your identity. And it all starts with a daily choice to be disciplined. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. This is where most people fall short. Wait for the perfect moment, for motivation to strike, for the right mood to arrive. But successful people know that waiting for a feeling is a trap. Action must lead and feeling will follow. Follow. The difference between winners and wishers is that the disciplined take action regardless of how they feel. They understand that emotions are fleeting, but results are permanent. Your mood is not a reliable guide for your future. Some days you'll feel inspired, energized, and ready to conquer the world. But on most days, you won't. You'll feel tired, distracted, or unmotivated. That's normal. That's human. But if you let your feelings decide your actions, you'll build a life that's ruled by inconsistency. The disciplined understand this truth. Success is not based on how you feel, but on what you do, consistently, deliberately, and independently of emotion. Think of it this way. A professional shows up whether they feel like it or not. An amateur needs to feel good before they act. That's the line that separates mediocrity from mastery. When you operate on mood, you live reactively. When you operate on discipline, you live proactively. You don't wait for inspiration, you create it. You don't depend on willpower, you depend on routine. The strongest individuals don't have more motivation, they simply have more structure. The habit of doing what needs to be done, especially when it's uncomfortable, builds internal strength. Every time you choose discipline over feeling, you strengthen your will, until you prove to yourself that you are in control. Not your emotions, not your circumstances, not your excuses. This creates momentum, and momentum leads to confidence. You begin to believe in your ability to follow through, and that belief becomes one of your greatest assets. Feelings are deceptive. They whisper lies like you deserve a break or to do it later, or you're not ready yet. If you listen to them, they'll keep you stuck in place. But when you act in spite of them, they lose their power. You start to understand that discipline isn't about forcing yourself. It's about freeing yourself. You are no longer at the mercy of how you feel. You start to run your day instead of letting your day run you. Even the best plans fail without the discipline to act on them. You may have goals written down. You may have vision boards and detailed strategies. But if you only move when it's convenient, those goals will remain dreams. The key is to build habits that override mood. Create routines that pull you into action. Wake up at the same time. Start your day with intention. Remove decision-making from the equation. Let your standards carry you through the moments when motivation disappears. Discipline also means honoring your commitments to yourself. Most people break promises to themselves all the time. They say they'll start tomorrow. They say they'll start tomorrow. They say they'll just skip one workout or cheat on the diet just once. But every time you break your word to yourself, you weaken your identity. You start to doubt your ability to follow through. The solution? Act anyway, even when you're tired, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's inconvenient. That's how trust is built internally. Over time, doing what you should do, regardless of mood, becomes automatic. You no longer debate with yourself. You no longer negotiate with your feelings. You simply do what needs to be done. That's power. That's freedom. That's discipline. And when you can master this principle, your life begins to change in every direction. You gain control over your energy, your time, your goals, and most importantly, yourself. Discipline is the crucial link between having a goal and achieving it. Everyone has intentions. Everyone wants to improve something in their life: health, wealth, relationships, career. But wanting alone achieves nothing. Ideas are common. Intentions are everywhere. The rare individual is the one who consistently acts on their intentions. That's where discipline comes in. It becomes the bridge that carries you from desire to reality, from wishing to doing, from planning to producing. You can have the clearest vision in the world, but without disciplined action, it's just a vision. Nothing happens until something moves. Something moves. And what moves you consistently, even when you're tired, uncertain, or distracted, is discipline. It transforms your goals from concepts in your mind into behaviors in your day. Without discipline, intentions fade under pressure. With discipline, you convert those intentions into measurable progress. Most people live in the gap between what they say they want and what they're actually doing. They intend to start eating healthy, intend to write that book, intend to learn that new skill, but they never cross the bridge into real action. Discipline closes that gap. It doesn't wait for the perfect time. It doesn't get stuck in planning. It moves forward imperfectly and consistently, converting energy into momentum. Intention alone makes promises. Discipline delivers results. Think of discipline as a daily translator. Every morning you wake up with a list of priorities in your head, what you intend to do. But by the end of the day, many of those things remain undone, pushed aside by distractions and demands. Discipline is what takes that list and says, let's go. No excuses. Let's go. No excuses. Keeps your inner commitments and makes them external behaviors. It makes sure that what you wanted to do becomes what you actually did. Intentions live in the mind, but actions live in the real world. The bridge between them is built one decision at a time. Every time you choose action over excuse, focus over distraction, consistency over comfort, you strengthen that bridge. And as the bridge grows stronger, something powerful happens. Your confidence grows. You start trusting yourself to follow through. And that self-trust becomes fuel for even bigger goals. People often say, "I know what I need to do, I just need to do it." That sentence proves the point. The gap isn't knowledge, it's execution. And the solution isn't more information, it's more discipline. You already know what steps to take. You already know what habits would improve your life. What's missing is the discipline to take those steps daily. That's what turns potential into performance. Discipline also removes the emotion from execution. It doesn't ask, "Do I feel like doing this today?" It says, "This is what needs to be done. Let's do it." It simplifies your decision-making process. Instead of getting caught up in overthinking, it creates a rhythm, a pattern of movement, a sense of progress. That rhythm eventually becomes your lifestyle. You no longer rely on motivation. You rely on your system, and that system is fueled by discipline. When you live with discipline, your actions begin to match your intentions. That alignment is powerful. It creates clarity, reduces stress, and builds momentum. You no longer carry the guilt of unfulfilled plans. You no longer drown in self-doubt. You become a person of action, not just ideas. And once that bridge is strong, you can cross it over and over again, turning dreams into plans, and plans into achievements. Discipline is not just for one area of your life. It touches everything. You cannot compartmentalize success. If you're disciplined in your career but careless with your health, you'll pay the price. If you're structured in your finances but chaotic in your relationships, that imbalance will eventually show. Every area of life, your body, your mind, your money, your time, your character demands discipline if you want to experience growth and fulfillment. Success is holistic, and so is discipline. Start with your health. Without physical energy, your mental and emotional strength crumbles. It takes discipline to eat right, exercise regularly, get proper rest, and avoid harmful habits. There's no shortcut here. You can't buy health. You have to earn it daily through consistent, disciplined actions. And so, a strong body supports a strong mind, and discipline is the foundation that keeps both sharp, resilient, and ready for the demands of life. Now consider your finances. Wealth does not come from income alone. It comes from disciplined financial behavior. Saving, investing, budgeting, living within your means. These are not exciting actions, but they are essential. The financially successful are not always the highest earners. They are the most consistent in managing their money with discipline. They delay gratification, track their spending, and stick to a long-term plan when others give in to impulse. Your time is another area that demands discipline. Time is the great equalizer. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. What separates the productive from the overwhelmed is not more time, but better time management. Discipline allows you to prioritize what matters, say no to time wasters, and create structure in your day. Without it, your schedule gets hijacked by distractions, and your goals are buried under other people's agendas. Discipline is also required in your relationships. It takes conscious effort to listen, to communicate with clarity, to manage emotions, and to invest time into the people who matter. Great relationships don't happen by accident. They are built through consistent intentional behavior. That means setting aside ego, following through on commitments, and being dependable. It's easy to be kind when it's convenient. It's discipline that makes you kind when it's not. In your career or business, discipline is the bedrock of performance. It's the difference between showing up on time versus showing up prepared. It's the difference between working hard and working smart. Disciplined professionals plan their day, track their results, seek feedback, and push through challenges while others quit. They don't leave their success to chance. They engineer it through daily, focused effort. Even your mindset is shaped by discipline. It takes effort to guard your thoughts, to feed your mind with knowledge, to resist negativity, and to focus on possibilities. Discipline allows you to stay grounded when things go wrong and humble when things go right. It's what keeps your attitude positive, your goals clear, and your actions aligned. A strong mindset is not built by accident. It's trained through repetition, reflection, and restraint. Character, too, is a matter of discipline. Integrity, honesty, humility, courage. These are not traits you're born with. They are developed and reinforced through disciplined decisions. Choosing to tell the truth when it's hard. Choosing to do what's right when no one is watching. Choosing to take responsibility instead of shifting blame. These are choices made not once but repeatedly, and each one is powered by discipline. Discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you build. People often mistake discipline for a personality trait, as if some individuals are naturally self-controlled while others aren't. But discipline is not a gift, it's a skill. And like any skill, it can be developed through intention, repetition, and practice. If you've ever said, "I'm just not a disciplined person," understand this. You're not disqualified. You're simply untrained. You can train yourself into discipline the same way you would train a muscle. Everything you've ever learned in life, from walking and talking to driving a car or managing a budget, came through trial, error, and repetition. Discipline follows the same process. At first, it's unfamiliar. It's uncomfortable. But the more you practice making intentional choices, the easier those choices become. What was once a struggle becomes second nature. The more you follow through on your promises, the more you trust yourself to do it again. That's how discipline grows, step by step. One of the most empowering realizations is that discipline starts small. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start with a single area, consistent morning routine, a daily walk tracking your spending, or setting a clear boundary on social media use. Small acts of discipline compound. They create a chain reaction of control, clarity, and confidence. The key is not the size of the step, but the consistency of the stride. At first, you will face resistance. Your brain will argue. Your habits will fight back. You'll be tempted to quit. That's part of the process. Discipline is like forging metal. It takes pressure, heat, and repetition to create strength. Every time you do the hard thing instead of the easy one, you're reinforcing a new identity. You're proving to yourself that you are not your excuses. You are not your past. You are someone who follows through. The environment you create also affects your discipline. Surround yourself with structure and eliminate unnecessary temptations. Set clear routines, organize your workspace, and plan your day in advance. Make it easier to do the right thing and harder to do the wrong thing. This isn't cheating, it's smart preparation. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to suffer. It's about setting yourself up to succeed. You design the system, and the system supports your self-control. Accountability is another critical tool. When you keep your commitments private, it's easy to let them slide. But when you make them public, by telling a mentor, a friend, or even tracking your progress in writing, you create pressure to perform. External accountability can help reinforce internal discipline until it becomes automatic. Eventually, your reputation, for yourself and with others, becomes a powerful motivator. Learning discipline also means learning to manage setbacks. You will slip. You will miss a day. But discipline is not perfection, it's resilience. The goal is not to never fall. The goal is to rise quickly every time you do. Don't beat yourself up when you stumble. Reflect, reset, and recommit. That bounce-back ability is what separates those who improve from those who give up. Every setback becomes a setup for a stronger comeback when you treat discipline as a lifelong practice. Finally, understand that discipline compounds over time. In the early stages, the rewards are small. Maybe just a completed checklist or a better day. But keep going, and those daily decisions begin to reshape your life. Your focus sharpens. Your results multiply. Your confidence soars. What once required effort becomes effortless. And it all began with a simple decision to practice the skill of discipline, one day at a time. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry, and more often than not, it's the result of undisciplined choices. Skipped opportunities, abandoned goals, wasted time. These things don't just vanish. They accumulate, and eventually they turn into regret. Discipline may feel difficult in the moment, but the pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret, on the other hand, lingers. Discipline is what protects you from looking back on your life and saying, "I could have done more. I should have tried harder." In the moment, choosing discipline can seem like a sacrifice. Waking up early, saying no to distractions, staying focused when others are relaxing. All of these feel like costs, but what you're really doing is buying freedom from future disappointment. When you stay disciplined, you secure a better tomorrow. You avoid the emotional cost of saying, "What if?" The disciplined person may feel some discomfort today, but they don't suffer the torment of regret years later. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack follow-through. And when the dust settles, it's not the missed opportunity that hurts the most. It's knowing you were capable of more. That's the sting of regret. And it always comes later, after the moment has passed and cannot be reclaimed. Discipline keeps you present and intentional, reducing the number of decisions you'll have to apologize to yourself for in the future. Consider the long-term impact of your daily choices. Every time you hit snooze instead of rising to meet the day, every time you break a promise to yourself, every time you choose comfort over commitment, you're making a withdrawal from your future. You're piling up debt that will one day have to be paid in regret. Discipline flips that equation. It turns every small, difficult choice into an investment, one that pays off in pride, confidence, and peace of mind. When you live without discipline, you live reactively. You let life happen to you instead of making life happen through you. That lack of control leads to drift. Weeks turn into months and months into years, and suddenly you wonder where the time went. You realize that the dreams you once had have grown cold, not because they were impossible, but because you didn't do the work. Discipline is what keeps your dreams alive and your goals in motion. It's easy to justify procrastination in the moment. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm just too tired today. I'll get serious next week. These lies add up. And one day you wake up with a head full of unfinished plans and a heart full of disappointment. The disciplined person refuses to live that way. They understand that time is non-refundable. Once a day is gone, it's gone forever. So they squeeze every drop of value out of it. Not because they have to, but because they choose to live without regret. The beauty of discipline is that it creates a future you don't have to recover from. You don't have to fix what you didn't break. You don't have to go back and repair damage caused by neglect. You move forward with peace. That's not just productivity. That's emotional freedom. Discipline becomes the bodyguard of your self-respect. It protects your name, your values, and your vision from being compromised by laziness or distraction. Ask anyone who has achieved meaningful success, and they'll tell you the same thing. The work was hard, but it was worth it. They don't regret the early mornings, the late nights, or the missed parties. What they would have regretted was never stepping up, never committing, never taking control. That's what discipline gives you, a life built on effort instead of excuses, purpose instead of passivity, and fulfillment instead of frustration. Self-respect doesn't come from external validation. It comes from knowing deep down that you can trust yourself. And that trust is earned through discipline. Every time you set a goal and follow through, you're telling yourself, I can count on me. That's where real self-respect is born, not from what others say about you, but from what you know to be true about your own actions. Discipline is the proof that your word means something to yourself. People who struggle with low confidence often look for motivation, encouragement, or praise from the outside. But what they truly need is the internal evidence of self-discipline. Because when you say you'll do something and actually do it, whether it's getting up on time, completing a workout, making that phone call, you send a signal to your subconscious that you are reliable. And over time, that reliability becomes identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who gets things done no matter what. Discipline helps you build boundaries with yourself. It teaches you to say no when it's easier to say yes, to stay silent when it's tempting to speak, to act when you feel like hesitating. Those boundaries are not limitations. They are standards. They define the level at which you operate. The more consistently you meet those standards, the more you begin to view yourself as a person of principle, of strength, and of purpose. Strength and of purpose. Self-respect flourishes when you live by your own rules, not your emotions. When you avoid discipline, you create internal conflict. You say one thing and do another. You promise and then postpone. Over time, this inconsistency erodes your self-esteem. You don't believe in your own commitments anymore, and you begin to doubt your capacity to change. But when you live with discipline, your internal voice shifts. It no longer questions. It confirms. It says, you said you would, and you did. That internal alignment is the root of personal power. Discipline also teaches you to endure discomfort in pursuit of something greater. And there's nothing that builds respect like honoring a higher goal over a temporary feeling. Whether it's choosing to work when you'd rather relax, speaking truth when it's easier to stay silent, or pushing forward when quitting looks attractive, Each disciplined choice reinforces that you value long-term growth over short-term ease. That is a powerful message to send to yourself. The beauty of discipline is that it puts the responsibility in your hands. You no longer wait for the right circumstances, the right people, or the right energy. You create your own momentum. That independence builds pride, not arrogance, but grounded pride. The kind that says, I don't need to be perfect, but I am progressing. That internal pride earned, not given, is the essence of self-respect. You become your own source of validation. Discipline also helps you clean up the messes you've made. If there was a time when you fell short, gave up, or let yourself down, discipline becomes your redemption. You don't erase the past. You rise above it. You begin again, this time with consistency, focus, and integrity. You prove to yourself that you're not defined by your mistakes, but by your determination to grow beyond them. That kind of personal comeback restores not just confidence, but deep, lasting self-respect. And finally, discipline helps you hold your head high, even when no one is watching. There's a quiet dignity in doing what's right simply because it's right. You're not chasing applause, you're living in alignment. That alignment becomes your anchor. You walk differently. You speak with certainty. You carry yourself with the calm assurance of someone who honors their commitments not out of obligation, but out of self-respect. Freedom and discipline might sound like opposites, but in truth, they are deeply connected. People often chase freedom by avoiding structure. They resist routines, ignore commitments, and do whatever feels good in the moment. But that path leads to chaos, not freedom. True freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from doing what needs to be done, consistently. Discipline is what gives you control, and control is what produces real freedom. When you are disciplined, you gain freedom over your time. You're no longer a prisoner of the urgent or a slave to distraction. You plan your days, prioritize your goals, and execute with intention. This doesn't trap you, it frees you. Instead of reacting to everything, you take charge. You're not rushing to meet deadlines or scrambling to recover from mistakes. You move through your life with clarity because discipline has cleared the clutter and put you back in the driver's seat. Discipline also brings financial freedom. When you consistently manage your money, save, invest, and spend wisely, you're not controlled by debt, panic, or paycheck-to-paycheck survival. You can make decisions based on purpose, not desperation. You're free to pursue opportunities, to give generously, and to walk away from anything that doesn't align with your values. That kind of freedom isn't possible without discipline. It's built through consistent, responsible action over time. In relationships, discipline gives you the freedom to love without fear, to speak without regret, and to lead without manipulation. It helps you respond instead of react. When you're emotionally disciplined, you don't let temporary feelings destroy long-term trust. You think before you speak. You follow through on your word. That kind of consistency builds safety, and in safe relationships, people feel free to be themselves. Discipline gives you the freedom to relate with maturity and stability. Your body, too, benefits from disciplined habits. When you eat clean, move daily, rest properly, and avoid toxic choices, you gain the physical freedom to live actively and vibrantly. You're not shackled by preventable illness, fatigue, or dependence on stimulants. You wake up clear, energetic, and capable. That's not a coincidence. That's the result of choosing short-term discipline over long-term decline. The freedom to enjoy life fully comes from mastering your habits daily. Creativity is often thought of as spontaneous and unstructured, but even creativity flourishes under discipline. The writer who shows up every day to write, the artist who sketches no matter how they feel, the entrepreneur who sticks to the process, these are the people who break through. Discipline creates the space and structure where creative freedom can thrive. Without that structure, even the most talented minds get stuck in procrastination and inconsistency. Discipline also gives you the freedom to say a no with confidence. When you know your values, your goals, and your priorities, you stop being pulled in every direction. You're not afraid to turn down invitations, delay gratification, or walk away from distractions. That clarity comes from a disciplined mind. You're no longer ruled by pressure or people-pleasing. You choose your path with conviction because you've trained yourself to focus on what matters most. And most importantly, discipline gives you the freedom to become who you are meant to be. Without it, you live a life of unfulfilled potential, always starting but never finishing, always wishing but never achieving. But with discipline, you move from intention to execution, from chaos to order, from dreaming to doing. You unlock levels of capability you never knew existed. And in that process, you experience the highest form of freedom, becoming the person you know you're capable of becoming. So what's the final takeaway? It's simple. Discipline is not just a habit. It's the foundation of every success, every breakthrough, every transformation. It is the bridge between who you are now and who you want to become. It's the daily decision to act with purpose, to follow through, to rise above distractions and excuses. No one drifts to the top. No one stumbles into excellence. The life you want will never be handed to you. It must be built, and discipline is the tool that shapes it. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it demands sacrifice, but it also delivers freedom, power, and a deep sense of pride that can never be bought, borrowed, or faked. You already have what it takes. You don't need more talent, more time, or more luck. You need more discipline, the ability to do what matters most, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because the moment you master yourself, you master your results. And once you do that, there's no limit to what you can create, lead, or achieve. Discipline is everything. And once you embrace it, everything begins to change.